Welcome to the transformational conversations of DC James, the head coach.
Hey, AJ.
Hi, DC.
Well, this is coming at you guys in the space here. This is DC James, the head coach. And of course, we're chiming in for the podcast here at Hey Coach 24/7. Glad you guys are joining us. I try to, of course, have exciting transformational conversations with those who are, I call them superhuman. And of course, things that we go through as it regards fitness, our health. I'm, of course, wanting to encourage anyone out there in the respects of personal development, improvement, and discovery to really get on and get connected with a community that I believe that shares stories. And of course, I know AJ because she's in the fitness space at Kosama in Virginia Beach, the only one on the East Coast. And so we've been able to go on a journey, I believe, of transformation as it regards our health, lifestyle, fitness, and just overall wellness. And so I asked AJ to come and share her story with you. I think it's going to relate to a whole lot of people out there. And so, of course, we're going to buckle in. And for the next 30 minutes, we're going to just share and have a transformational conversation. Say hello to the people, AJ.
Well, hello. How are you?
Well, I'm glad you took out some time to come into the space, and it's been a long time coming, but I'm glad you made the time, and you got a very interesting background. My hope is everybody won't get distracted with trying to find the makes of each guitar. But that's cool. That's a good background back there.
Behind me.
Yeah, that is an awesome, nearly background. But tell the people who you are and a little bit of background, and we'll get right into your story.
Okay, well, my name is AJ, and my husband and I happened to find Kosama here on Virginia Beach, in Virginia Beach, and met DC and started a fitness journey, but had some bumps along the way and discovered a few things. And I guess that's what we're going to talk about, right?
Absolutely. We're going to talk about, I know in particularly, I want to narrow in on an incredible, it was actually a revelation to me as it regards sleep apnea. And I know with fitness, it's one of those factors that I look at and I gauge as to how people, how they are resting. Because to me, that rest factor, that zone is where we really recover. There's a lot of resetting during that time. If that phase of our time in our life is interrupted or disturbed, it really has an adverse effect on our health. And so I know your story is very unique because of a discovery as to, this long journey as to, okay, what's going on? And I know with the sleep apnea, it's a unique type of sleep apnea, but you went through all types of tests and examinations. They couldn't find out what was going on. So we're going to just talk about that particular process and that journey. And of course, we've already got the inside story, but let the folks, hear a little bit about what that trek was, the intrepidation, the frustration, just the whole ordeal around it.
Okay. Well, it's true. I had not been feeling well. I was kind of struggling. It all starts out where, you have just these vague symptoms, sort of maybe general malaise, whatever. I'm a nurse, so I'm kind of aware of, different symptoms of things and all, but I had been having a lot of just general fatigue. I woke up tired. I went to bed tired. At work, I could get myself through the day, but as soon as I came home, I would just have to take a nap that sometimes would last until morning. It was really debilitating as far as just doing my general activities of daily living. The dog kept staring at me because she wanted to go out. But it was, I thought, okay, I need to get exercise and maybe I need to eat better. I had all kinds of other symptoms and I just couldn't figure out what was going on. I went to many different doctors. My primary care doctor said, after all of these things that we've tried, I mean, of course, the depression goes through your mind, all kinds of other disease processes that, they look into. I had x-rays, I had blood work, lots and lots of blood work.
Wow.
But nothing ever came back. My kidneys were fine. My hormones were okay, all this other stuff. So she finally said, let's just do a sleep study. One more thing before we, just chalk it off to, depression or other mental illness, I suppose, and treat it with drugs. So let's get that test done, which kind of surprised me because, I mean, I am overweight, but I'm not the typical body type of a person that would have obstructive sleep apnea. I don't have a really thick neck or, there's some other body types of, no chin, like sort of a receding chin and that sort of thing. So I was kind of surprised, but, we went through the test and it was kind of funny when I went in. The test was interesting. I was a little nervous going in, but I was able to sleep okay when I was there. They hook you up to like 36 different wires in your head and an EKG and stuff on your fingers and all. And you sit there and you're really wired up and you think, how can I sleep with all this stuff on?
Right.
But I was able to. And then, I came back for the meeting with the doctor for the sleep study, and she comes in and, she says, oh, your test was very good and you were able to sleep 70% of the time, which I was pretty surprised. And I'm thinking, okay, so she's going to tell me I'm fine. And here's another thing. I don't know what's wrong with me. And she says, but you stopped breathing approximately 39 times an hour and 70 times an hour during REM sleep, which is when you're dreaming. So I said, oh, wow. And she said, yeah, that's severe sleep apnea. And she started talking about a CPAP, a sleep machine, a breathing machine while you're sleeping. And I had no idea that it would be that bad. That I even had it. I mean, I just was expecting it to be another thing that was going to be normal and didn't know what was wrong with me still.
Yeah.
So when I got home, I immediately started doing some research and found out that, yeah, that's pretty severe. And the other thing is I had no idea how much lack of sleep affected you physically.
Wow.
And that was the biggest thing. So with sleep apnea of that magnitude, what happens, or any sleep apnea, is your body, you drift off to sleep and you stop breathing. So your body essentially wakes you up enough to get you breathing again, but not really enough to wake you up to consciousness. So you hover in this state of light sleep, so you never ever get that deep restorative sleep.
REM.
Body and you don't get into even the REM sleep that your mind and your body need to relax. And when I did eventually make it into the REM sleep, I stopped breathing even more, so it was even worse for me. And every time I took a nap, I was getting less and less rest. So it was a vicious cycle at that point. But it was absolutely amazing when I ended up getting the CPAP machine. I was very nervous about it because I thought, oh, this is going to be this huge machine. It's going to make a lot of noise. It's going to be a bulky thing on my face that is going to be annoying. But it actually, I just was able to use these little things that fit right in my nose. And it's not that bad to sleep with. And I noticed, I actually went on vacation immediately after I got it. We planned week-long vacation and I had it with me. So I was able to actually relax from stress of work and all that. But I couldn't believe the difference in the sleep I got.
Wow.
How I woke up and I didn't feel like I had to go right back to bed. And I had so much more energy during the day. It took a little bit for some of the other symptoms to go away. But it's just been amazing. And it's kind of one of those things where I hear people talk about blood pressure problems, just general fatigue, and other types of, even digestion problems and things like that. And particularly the blood pressure, issues. I didn't personally have any blood pressure problems, but apparently high blood pressure can really be aggravated by lack of sleep. And whenever I hear people talking about having problems that they can't solve, I always say, you should go and ask your doctor about getting a sleep study, because it's amazing what lack of sleep can do to your body.
Wow. So how long was that journey as far as just trying to figure it out? I know you shared some things with me, and just, I think most of us can just think, oh, well, it's this other thing and not necessarily something serious.
Right.
How long was that journey where you just were still not in the know and got to the place where it's like, okay, something is really, seriously wrong here. These other things are not fixing it. How long was that journey of trying to uncover what the issue was?
Well, truthfully, it was, in hindsight, probably maybe almost a year. Just since I was starting to feel things, like the fatigue, the general tiredness, sometimes the achiness, the headaches, just different things that would happen. I'd go to the doctor. Okay, we'd try a test. We'd do blood work, we'd do this. And honestly, the last probably 4 months before I had the sleep study, it was really, I said when I went into her the last time, I said, you've got to do something. I cannot stay awake. I can't physically, I'm driving and I'm falling asleep, or, feeling like I'm going to. I said, if I'm sitting at work even for a few minutes and, I can just kind of feel myself, I'd have to get up and walk around. And I finally said to her, I said, I have no quality of life here. I am tired all the time. I said, something's got to be done. If this is what depression is like, then let's get on drugs, because I don't know what else to do. If that's what this is, then that's what this is, and I'll accept that. And that's when she said, I feel, I can hear your frustration, and you've obviously reached your breaking point. And she said, I want to do one more thing before we go the medication route.
Go to that severe aggressive.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy. I mean, I really give her a lot of credit because a lot of doctors, I think, probably would have said, okay, here's some more drugs.
Right. And that typically is how can I say, the standard, so to speak, in the medical field. You're a good doctor if you can prescribe medications.
Sure.
And there's very few that will, take that position of, I want to make sure you don't, go to the extreme of surgery, or I'm sure that there's some cases out there where people, may have tried the surgery and that may not even have been the issue, but of course it checks off to the doctor if, he can rack up some sales. So it was a good thing that you had a doctor that says, let's go one more route before we, go the other direction. And so with the procedure, was there any other things that you could do? Because I know just talk a little more about the CSA, where it's not necessarily the obstruction. Go in a little bit to the education that you received.
Right.
About the brain just not.
Yeah,
something's not responding in the brain.
Right. With the central sleep apnea, it's your brain actually just forgets to tell your body to breathe.
Wow.
It is not as common, obviously, as the sleep apnea, as the obstructive sleep apnea, but it is a factor in several in the sleep apnea for several people, or for a lot of people, that's part of it. And it's kind of strange to think that, your brain just kind of forgets to say, oh, by the way, breathe. But, and that can even be harder to diagnose, I suppose, for some people, because, they may not appear at all. There's a lot of people that I've met since having this problem myself, that this one gentleman, as a matter of fact, is a runner. He's thin, he's athletic. You would never look at him and think, oh yeah, he's got sleep apnea. He doesn't snore and all this stuff, which can be a symptom if you snore a lot. I don't think I snored. Mark says sometimes I did, but I mean, it wasn't like loud and waking him up or anything. So it really, like everybody kind of snores a little bit, but so when you see a person that's, healthy otherwise and athletic and everything, they, and they have sleep apnea, it's not necessarily obstructive. It's just this brain malfunction kind of, or
wow.
But
and I understand also it's more common with men than it is with women. So that's another factor.
Correct. I think that, my only two real risk factors of having sleep apnea in general were just that I was overweight and I was
the obesity,
and my age.
Mm-hmm.
It happens with older, but otherwise I wasn't, really a typical candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Had sleep apnea, and I'm overweight. At one point, I wasn't. I wouldn't say I was like morbidly obese or anything, but I am overweight, and I'm still there. But I'm working on that.
Of course, you are.
I've seen a drop already, so that's a good thing. But I'll tell you, it makes it easier now for me to exercise and get up in the morning and walk the dog, and walk the dog in the evening and all that
Mm-hmm.
sort of stuff. So just because I have so much more energy.
Wow.
But
was there anything holistically prescribed or anything that you researched that, of course, are you still on the machine? Are you still using the equipment?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you, I don't know that I'll ever really not be able to use it. Maybe if I lose lots and lots of weight, but I don't think so, because even though I don't really have that receding chin and all that, I guess some of my structures do make it so that it will probably be something that I use, I guess, for the rest of my life, but maybe not. If I lose enough weight, I might see how I do without it. But again, I have done so well with the machine that the sleep doctor has said, she's only going to have me come once a year to check on everything.
Okay.
I don't know that I'll ever have to have any more testing done, but it might be if circumstances change down the road. If I need to have another study, maybe I'll find that I don't need it or something like that. Or I can just do with a night guard. Some people that have sleep apnea can get away with just a mouthpiece.
Okay.
But which I was hoping for, but she said, no, your apnea is too severe. So that is something I'll have to do forever, but it's not a problem as far as keeping the machine up and the replacements for the different parts and everything. And like I said, it's not uncomfortable to wear at all. So
that's good. That's good. I think the situation where you at least got something diagnosed, and the clarity of mind, peace of mind, where that sometimes that torment of not knowing could just be even more debilitating, where it's like, okay, let's get down to the bottom of it. If I could just, it's like I heard this said before, it's easier to deal with the struggle when you know what you're fighting. But when you don't know what you're fighting, it's hard to gear up and mount up for what? I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know when it's,
That's so true. I really did feel a frustration that I just, I was just so, I kept thinking, oh my gosh, if I don't find out what's wrong with me, I'm just crazy. It's all in my head.
Wow.
I honestly felt like just check me into an institution, until I figure out what's going on. But then I had a really kind of a strange emotion, when I walked out of the doctor's office after I was told that yes, you have this pretty severe sleep apnea. I sat in the car and I thought, wow, I have sleep apnea. Well, that explains a lot. But oh my God, I actually have something. Kind of do I want to have this? I don't want to have this. It explains a lot. And so now, okay, well, I've got it. And now, like you said, at least I know I'm not fighting an unknown enemy. Now right. I know what I'm up against. And so I can go from there.
Exactly. And that's a step. That's the thing that I look at with transformation. We're all kind of going through all kind of changes. It doesn't, it's one of those things, if you can kind of narrow down what those things are, you just, chuck that off your list. And so that's the part where I kind of see where we're not in a perfect world. We're not in a perfect setting in the sense that we're dealing with trouble all the time. But I believe that we're fashioned. I think there's something in us that deals with problems, that we're equipped to deal with problems. Right. It's funny how we'll pick up crossword puzzles. It's like, hey, that's a problem. It's a twister. So of course, that's the part where I try to encourage people. Look, if there's problems that are out there, then trust me, there's some solutions to deal with it. It just challenges us to be more innovative, be community. What we're doing even right now is where we share and we find out, wow, other people who are going through, and there may be cases out there where folks who did reverse it. And maybe there is another approach or a holistic approach if that's losing the weight or doing other things, maybe in nutrition. Who knows? And of course, given with bright minds, you never know if someone already invented this machine. You said that the upgrade may be coming. That's right. So that's the part where it's good to have an enthusiastic outlook. But I'm sure again, where you were before with just the frustration, I don't know, and then to have a healthcare provider step in and say, let's check again. Let's do one more, do another type of test that may not even be, reasonable around what you do have. And so what can you share? What could you, if that was to speak to that individual who's gone through maybe similar situations, the frustration, the, whatever medications, the trouble at work and just trying to function, what would you tell that person? How would you share with them your courage and wisdom to really strengthen them wherever they are right now?
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing is, obviously you have to keep searching for what the answer is. Because honestly, I really was at a very low spot when I finally went to the doctor. Because, so many people had said, and doctors of, different, GI doctors and, whatever that, and, everybody was saying, well, you just need to lose some weight. Just need to start eating better, to, exercise more. And I was trying, but I had no will to do anything. I had no energy to do anything. Right. I just couldn't do anything. I felt helpless. Wow. And so that when I went to the doctor finally that time, I think she understood that. And so if you're there, if that's how somebody is feeling, I really, really encourage them to have that conversation with the doctor that says, this is how I'm feeling. I don't have that quality of life that I know I should have. Right. And, this is what I've done. And, I've tried to do, losing the weight, eating right, exercising. I've tried to, have a positive mood or outlook. Mm-hmm. I've tried all those things and, I'm taking vitamins or I'm taking, some of those herbal supplements that maybe help to make you feel better. But sometimes there is a physical reason for it. And you really do need to keep pursuing it. And if one doctor is just not willing to work with you, then maybe find another one. I was lucky in that my primary care doctor was willing to keep trying rather than just say, here's more drugs, because I just didn't want more drugs.
Wow. And I think something's also significant with a little bit of the background. I believe you're in the medical profession, aren't you? So you're around. And that's amazing. You're around other people who are in that profession. Yeah. So that must have been even more frustrating. This is a world I work in this world.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, of course, that's the other part where I think you have an advantage over other different people. And even with that advantage, you were still in a stumped position. Mm-hmm. But again, that to me goes a long way, where you just have persistence. You may not have the education, or you may not be in that world, but just having the persistence and not settle. that not settle, or okay, I'm put in this box. You're a depressant.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
and so those types of, it's very easy to get labeled and tagged. And then of course people will treat you that way because they're looking at the record and not looking at something more unique. And so, but that's the part where I wanted to get you on, have you share that story. I thought it was unique because I always thought of the obstructive, sleep apnea. And I've seen the machine. I know some of the individuals, and of course they rave about, sleeping much better. But I think in your case, it wasn't the obvious,
Right.
And to take that next step. And of course, when you said you left the office, it was kind of like, okay, I don't need to wonder anymore. And so now what's the next step? And obviously you took the step, you're sleeping better. Seems like you have energy at the work, at the job. You are at the gym working out. You're doing your nutrition. So you're still not just, abandoning other different things. You're still staying on task and taking a step day by day. And to me, that's transformation. It's not necessarily the achievement. And I know once, we get in our minds, like if I could just arrive to the pinnacle, and I look at it as the attempts are achievements. So each step they'll measure up, and you never know what they accumulate up to.
That's right.
Wow.
And, I found a piece of the puzzle, and now it's put me back on my journey. And that's what this is. It's a journey. I mean,
exactly.
That you can say, oh, that was it. I'm done. I'm cured. Well,
right.
I have the device that helps me sleep better. So I can, small approximations to.
Wow. Listen to Mark back there. He seems like he's, they're also rooting. I'm sure he's looked at you and went, okay, I know other things that you've gone through too, on top of that. So we already go through enough trouble as it is. And then to have things like that on top of it. So I know you're a trooper, and Mark's been in your corner, and you guys are the dynamic duo. I see you guys. I mean, of course, when I met you guys, we were together. So of course, that's why I wanted to get you guys on, let folks get a little glimpse of the people that's in the camp at Kosama, all different types of walks, different experiences, and other folks that, of course, they got some very unique stories. So this is not necessarily the typical, the typical fitness, wellness. Hey, I ran these miles and all these accomplishments and these goals and these trophies and medals. And no, this is just, can we sleep? Can I have a decent night's sleep to where I now have the energy to do other things other than just, trying to run a marathon, or get out here and do, a Spartan race or whatever that is. Just, can I get up, function, and have a normal, some normalcy in my life? So that part right there is, to me, I think we all can relate to that.
Yep.
And so anything you want to say in passing before I let you go? One more thing.
Well, I just want to encourage people that, if you have something going on, that you stick with it, find out what the cause is, so that you can, start feeling better and work through it. And I guess that's it.
That's fine. And that's okay. It's simple. As simple as good. Simple as sweet.
Like questions, so I could have prepared all these
answers.
answers.
No, I wanted it to be natural. I just wanted you to flow. Nothing contrived, nothing canned. And plus, of course, we've been on the journey, and I know, of course, you trust this space, and knowing that I create this content for the community of folks that are out there. And again, if it can resonate with you guys, if it connects with you, that's my hope. And that, of course, yours may be a unique case, just like AJ. And just letting you guys know there's a community to support you. There's other people who are going through, and it may not be the exact situation or scenario, but I'm sure it will touch in respects to, as it regards life. We're all impacted by that. I don't care what language you speak. It's amazing how sometimes trouble can hit us all. It don't matter. It doesn't matter what we speak. We are tuned in when it comes to the quality of our life being disturbed, or our sense of safety or security. And so in this respect, this is a good, to me, a good indication and a good mark for the healthcare professionals who are out there. Not everybody's a kook and a quack and just trying to, pay for their mortgage and their yacht and their kids in college. Not everybody is wired that way. There are some healthcare physicians out there who really freaking care. So, of course, that's the part where I'm wanting AJ's story to really encourage you guys. Go to the doctor, see the professional. And if it's not jiving, then go to another professional, go to another referral, take another opinion. But don't let it be settled in your mind. I'm just going to let it go because I can't trust doctors. Use wisdom. Please exercise wisdom. And there's enough information out there to get on the internet and do some research yourself. Most of us are pretty savvy. So really encouraging you guys to get out there and learn, and because knowledge is not power, learning is power. And so I'm hoping that you guys learned something today as we shared on the Hey Coach 24/7. This is DC James, the head coach. And of course, letting you guys know in this space to take care of yourself, take care of others. And trust me, all of the things, they'll work themselves out. Again, AJ, I want to thank you so much for getting on. And Mark, I want to thank you for letting her use the man cave. We'll get this thing archived, and hopefully, again, it'll touch lives and even more so save lives. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, DC.
You've been listening to the transformational conversations of DC James, the head coach.